for those of you who don't know me, my name is Connor Quigley. I founded SafeCare a number of years ago. Those of you who do know me, good to see you here again today. Today we are focusing on SafeCare itself. We do a lot of products, from communication to sensory to assistive technology, etc. But today we're obviously focusing on one of our communication products, which is TD Snap, and in particular the core first page within TD Snap, which is the symbol-based page set within TD Snap. Some of you may know it, may know the software as Snap Core First. You may have an older iteration of it. You may recognize this logo. That's when Snap Core First was first released in 2017. It was a Core First language system based on core vocabulary. It has since renamed as TD Snap. And the logo has changed. So if you do notice that on your iPad or on your device that the logo has changed, that there is a very valid reason for it. It's called TD Snap now. The reason being is that, as we spoke about and as we're focusing predominantly today on, is the core first page set, and that's how it was initially launched. But since then, they've added new page sets. They've added a text-based page set for our literate users, and there's also an aphasia page set. So these are all, you can all find these within TD Snap now when you're setting up a new user. And as of yesterday, we now have a motor planning page in TD Snap. This was a big launch. It's only been launched in the UK and Ireland first. These are the first countries in the world that will get to see the motor planning page set. We're really excited by it. It is very good. So keep an eye on our on upcoming webinars we'll be doing about it. We haven't anything scheduled yet because it's not officially released. We've only released as in showed it. It's not available on TD Snap yet. It will be hopefully on the next software update. It'll come, so you don't have to buy anything new. It'll come on your TD Snap. So we're very excited about that addition to the page sets. And there's also paid extra. These are paid extra within TD Snap. There's the gateway page set and the pod page set. So again, for people that may be more familiar with those type of systems, you can add it into TD Snap. We have new integrations with BoardMaker and Google, so these are now all standard within TD Snap. And then there's other new features, easier setup, print functions, more languages, more voices, more symbols, scanning features, better eye gaze functionality, editing tools, resources, etc. So these are all within TD Snap itself. But today we're only going to focus on the core first page. So what is TD Snap Core First? So TD Snap is the software platform itself. So, and it's within TD Snap, you create your profile, you define your access method, your voice, and then you choose which page set you're going to use. So the one we're focusing on is Core First. It's a symbol-based page set, and it's multilingual. Most of our users here in Ireland tend to use English page sets anyway, but there is options for other languages available in it. As you can see, aphasia only comes in German and English. The text-based is English only. Gateway and pod are English only, and the new motor planning page, which isn't on this slide, is only in UK English to start with. So, TD Snap includes like a collection of tools that allows people to communicate in different ways in different situations. So there's different, within it itself, there's different kind of pages. So you've got core words, quick fires, topics, keyboard, etc. So there are tools to communicate quickly in social situations, and greetings and small talk, but there's also areas when people need to communicate very specifically and need to put together a novel message. So we know that, you know, good robust AAC systems should cater for both those types of messages. So it also supports literacy development, and you can meet the user where they're at. So we're not specific to any specific page set with number of cells on a page. So if we have somebody that can only use 2 cells, that's okay, right up to 80 words on a page and anything in between. So we're not governed by we have to use, you know, 20, 30, 40, whatever it may be. We can choose where the user's at, and we can set up the system to suit. How we build language, as I said, you know, the system caters for both formulaic and novel language. So for those, I'm assuming if there's a lot of speech and language therapists on this webinar, you'll understand this. So formulaic language is chunks of language that we always put together. So how do you take your tea? Milk with 2 sugars. How would you like a cup of tea? Yes, please, milk with 2 sugars, and so on. Whereas novel language, you're mapping words together to form sentences based on the context. So, so TD Snap and the core first page meets both those. Where there, I might as well show you. I'll come out of this for a second. So if you're thinking, where do we use novel and where do we use formulaic language within TD Snap? So here is quite a large page set. Your core words page is obviously where we're creating novel messages. So sorry, put that place. I want more. I can go to my word list and go to food and drink and say I want more lunch. So I've created a novel message just there as it was coming into my head. Whereas in quick fires, I've got my formulaic, my pre-stored phrases that I may use regularly, and it's a 1-button press. So actually, I might turn up my volume. You might hear too well when I was pressing it. So I might go into personal needs and something I want to say. I am thirsty a lot.
I am thirsty. I'm hungry. I need to take a break.
So we're using that formulaic, those pre-stored messages. So again, topics. Again, it's kind of further on from that. For formulaic language, we're just categorizing it into topics. So if I go to dressing,
I look nice. I need to change. It's too tight. I want to see the back.
So pre-stored messages within the system that we get out quickly. And then keyboard, again, I can type my message.
HALLO.
And so on. I can, hello, my name is Connie. So I got core words and keyboard. It's usually more than 1 button press to get my message out, and I can create my novel messages. Quick fires and topics, 1 button press, and my message is already pre-stored, and I can get it out quickly. So, so that's how TD Snap caters for both of those uses. So, TD Snap was also created to support for those who support AAC users. So, you know, it's really simple to edit and to make changes, and the reason being is that we're trying to design the software so that you can focus more. Teachers, parents, therapists, etc., can focus more on what they're good at, which is the therapy, the education, the communication side, rather than having to focus on programming the whole time. So it's encouraging that ongoing growth, and it's focusing less on the programming and more on the teaching. And there's also some tools built in to support social skill development and then also encourage positive behavior. So things like first and ends and visual schedules, they're all built in to kind of help encourage that positive behavior and build those skills. So why do we use core first? So we already know that the value of core vocabulary on AAC systems, most AAC systems for simple users now tend to have some element of core vocabulary within it. And this is based on research that shows us if we provide even a small set of core words, AAC users can use those words across all contexts. So, you know, core words themselves make up 85% of the words we use. So they can also, when we use core words, these are the same words when learning to read and write. So it does support literacy as well. So we're focusing on both communication and literacy when we're using core first. So obviously, it's not core first. It's very heavy on the core first. So who is core first for? It can be used for both children and adults who use symbols and for varying diagnoses. So because of the different access methods that you can use, whether it's eye gaze, switch, head mouse, whatever it may be, you can use a variety of different physical and for those with a variety of different physical and sensory abilities. So TD Snap goes on iPads to iSeries, eye gaze devices to TD Pilots to i110. So the hardware is kind of to meet possibly their physical needs or their behavioral needs or whatever it may be, but the software is the same across all platforms. So if you're working with a young child with no physical disabilities, they might use it on an iPad or an SC tablet, whereas you may have somebody who's very complex disabilities may use it on an eye gaze device. So, but the key feature is that for you as a support, a person who may work in support or as a parent or whoever it may be, the software is the same across all platforms. So that's really encouraging. And it's one of the only AAC softwares that is identical on both the iOS, which is Apple devices, and Windows devices. So if you're a person that works with people with various different disabilities and the hardware might result in an eye gaze device, which sometimes tend to be on Windows devices, it makes no difference. Your skills will transfer across the boat. I hope I put that in kind of a way that's not confusing, but if you have any questions, let me know. Look, I don't really have to go through any of this. Probably makes a lot of sense, but obviously, we create any AAC software so that people can participate in successful face-to-face interaction to reach their full potential, initiate and take turns in conversation, put words together to make meaning, get someone's attention, and so on. Again, like I think that's relevant for all AAC softwares and not just TD Snap, but sometimes might be worth highlighting again. Let's take a closer look at it. So the goal number one, as I spoke about a moment ago, is making the software really easy. So you can focus on communication, you can focus on modeling, you can focus on supporting the user, and that you're not bogged down in programming, etc., or getting lost in the software. So there's a consistent and clear way back. So you always got the home button. You're always just one selection away from core. There's a simple startup and editing, easy way to find vocab, onboard help and support. So what does that look like? So I'm just going to press the home button. So I'm back home straight away from where I was. So your home button is up here. You've got your light bulb up here for you guys. Just tells you what's new. There was a new update last week. So tell you what's changed in the software. If you want to go back and check previous ones, this will bring it to the website and so on. The search button is nice. So we might be looking at going through the word list, and I might be in weather words, frost. So I found frost that way, or I could just be at home and say, instead of trying to search for it and kind of navigate it, I can use the search button up here. So I can type in frost. Frost is here. And what it does, the system, if you can see this pulsing on the right, it starts to show how I get there. Again, you can see weather pulsing, weather words, and here's frost highlighted. So the search tool is a really nice and handy way to find words as well if you can't find it. Editing is really simple if you do want to do some editing. So I have some blank buttons on this page. All I do is I press the cog with the pencil, tap on a blank button. I want to put in rain. A symbol for rain comes up. If I don't like that symbol, I press it down here. It gives me lots of other different symbols. So I'm going to use this one. I just press done. I can change the color of the button and so on if I want to. But if I just want to keep it the same as the others, I press done and I've created a button.
Rain.
And it's really simple to do. So again, I want to go home. I've got my home button up here, or I can press the core words and it'll bring me back here. By default, the core words is set as the home page, but you can change that if you want. If you want your home page to be quick fires or topics or whatever it may be, you can do that also. So I'm just going to go back here. Sorry. So yeah, so simple, easy to find your way around. The navigation is the orange buttons on the left. So you've got your core words, your quick fires, your topics, and your keyboard. So they're generally the 4 different ways of how we use it to communicate. So let me just go back to this, see where we're at. Okay, so goal number 2 is that we provide an AAC system that gives you the tools to support literacy development, to help people engage, and then to grow language. So again, I spoke earlier of how we meet people or what stage they're at is fine. So we can meet them at a very early stage to a very to people that need a very small grid size, to people who need a very large one. So it doesn't really matter. You're not set. You're not determined within TD Snap where you start or where you end up. You can set that along the way. So so the tools for literacy are our core words, our word lists, and our keyboards all support language and literary skills development and give the user the ability to create new and novel messages. So within all of those, these tools can be used for literacy, and they must be taught. So they're taught through modeling, and they're taught through meaningful experiences. So the kind of a rule at home we're always told is that when you start out in these systems, the support, or whether it's a teacher or a therapist, or whoever, we press the buttons 8 times more than the user. So we're teaching them through experiences and through modeling. So it's how they learn. So if we look at the core words page, these are the common words we've spoken about already, and they're powerful because they can be used in any context. It's not, look, it's always on these sites. It's not recommended to edit these pages. You know, they're kind of set in a specific way. So you know, they're organized in a sentence structure for verbs and objects, etc. So they're color coded. It's based on a Fitzgerald key. So we kind of recommend you don't edit the core words page too much. You can hide buttons if you want to reduce the amount of language on it, but in terms of moving buttons or changing colors, etc., we kind of, obviously you're free to do whatever you want, but it's kind of the advice is not to change it too much. And obviously the meaning of the core word can change depending on the context. So here we've got some examples of how you can use the core word go in different contexts and how powerful that can be when we're starting to use a small set of words, how somebody can use that one word in different contexts and can mean so much. So that's why we focus a lot on the core words within this page set. And we have lots and lots more resources on core words and core first learning, and we have lots of programs. So I'll show you them towards the end, and where you can find more information on the core language and how we use it. The word list. So you know, the word lists are just categories. They're categories of single words, and sometimes people get a little bit kind of, I wouldn't say confused, but they mix up quickfires and word lists quite regularly. So we see a lot of people putting messages like you know, in the food and drink word list, they might put "I am hungry," whereas the word list tend to, you know, are supposed to be single words, and then when they're matched with the core page, you can create more complex messages. So what I mean by that is, so your core words are here. So I want, and your word lists are over here. So when I click on word list, these are categories of single words. They're not messages. Because if I went into food and drink here, I can pick, you know, I want bread.
Bread.
But if it said I like bread, my message wouldn't make sense. Wouldn't make sense anymore. It would say I like bread. So instead, we have single words that are kind of combined with the core word page to make our more complex messages. Whereas in quickfires, you know, I can have sentences like, oh, I don't know, do I have something like I like bread, but I might have
I am uncomfortable. I need help.
So it's more than one word messages. So word lists are single words that are categorized, whereas quickfires are your messages. And the same in topics. You might have a topic around food where you might have messages like I like bread, or, you know, I want to eat pasta now. Whereas in core words, again, we are putting those words together. So I hope that makes sense. And again, I'm not obviously I'm trying to do this quickly because we're under a little bit of time. So let me know if that didn't make sense, and I can go back over it. So as I said, the words are categorized, and then we use them with our core words to create our messages. Obviously, the keyboard can be used for literacy as well, and they can be changed. So generally, your default when you open up the common call we get here is that, oh, can I change from ABC to QWERTY? There's loads of keyboards there, so you can obviously change from ABC to QWERTY. So, you know, again, a person might not be able to, you know, put spell, or they mightn't be literate yet, but we may use this keyboard page to help let them explore the letters, let them, you know, scribble on it using their keyboard and just start that literacy. It does have a symbol aid keyboard where it'll do the predictive word above and show the symbols, so people might have that recognition as well. So again, lots of different keyboards. You can edit them, you can change them, but it's up to yourself. So there your literacy for engagement. Don't know why the topics, there it is. So you've got topics, behavior, supports, and quickfires. So they can, you know, again, we're using those quickfires, so we're getting our messages out quickly so we can engage. Our behavior supports, so we can use visual schedules and first and thens to help people engage in the classroom. And then obviously we've got our topics as well, where we can create full conversations within a more kind of structured manner of a category. So again, topics are phrases and sentences that support communication in specific environments. So they allow people to engage in meaningful conversations, show what they want. So again, if we look at some of these topics, let's go to topics, and let's think we were interacting with a child and we go to the bubbles topic. So in this bubbles topic, and again, I'm using a very big grid here to give you guys an idea of what it looks like on a full-size grid, but you can make this smaller. So these are color coded. So you've got your questions are in blue here at the top.
Want to catch them? Want to pop them?
You've got kind of general phrases in orange.
I want to play with bubbles. Get the bubbles. It didn't pop.
You've got your positives in green.
That was a good one. Let's do more bubbles.
And you've got your negatives in red.
It didn't work. I don't know where they are.
And then these purple ones are for custom messages. Look, These color coding is more for organization more than anything. It's not the end of the world if you don't keep to that. So you know, you know who you're working with and you know how they react to the color coding. So if you want to keep it, as I said, questions in blue, general comments in orange, positives in green, negative in red, and your custom comments in purple. Also in the topics over here, you've got supports. So in here, this is where you've got your first and thens and your schedules, etc. So I've got
first, open the lid. Then, use the bubble one to blow.
And you've got schedules.
First, get out the bubbles. Next, carefully blow without knocking over the bottle. Then, put the wand back in the bottle. Last, clean up.
So within the one topic, we've got, within the one topic, we've got all of our conversation pieces in here, our questions, or comments, or, you know, positive enforcements or negatives, etc. We've got our, you know, schedules, our first and thens. We can have social stories, etc., scripts. So it helps that engagement. And you can create your own, like there's a couple of blank ones up here and you can create as many as you want. So if you've got topics specific to what you want to do in school or work or whatever it may be, and you can see there's lots and lots of topics here. Some are more adult orientated, some are more child orientated, but you can hide and take away whatever you're not using. So which is very simple to do. So again, we're going to the park. The user doesn't have to worry too much about navigation. We can come into park. We've got lots of kind of pre-stored messages that we can use around the park, and we've also got our supports in here as well. So okay, I'll go back here. So that's our topics page, which helps for engagement. Our behavior supports, which we looked at. Yeah, so think that out. So each topic includes this behavior support, so it supports the individuals to know what's happening during the activity, to understand expectations and self-regulate. I showed you the first and thens and the visual schedules, but there's also visual timers, scripts, and social narratives as well. So again, we tend to do some webinars every now and then. We've got lots of videos online about our behavior support. So if you want to know a bit more about them, how to edit them, how to set them up. Some people take them out of the topics. You might have a page just specifically a person's using these supports all of the time to support their daily routines, etc. So a very, very useful and powerful tool within TD Snap itself. So I also have the quick fires, which we've looked at a little bit. So these are fast, predictable messages that can be used in any environment. So sometimes when I'm doing kind of talks and trainings, I'll just have the quick fires page open and I'll get people to engage with me and start asking me questions. And we'll see how far the conversation can go by just using quick fires page alone. So it's really quick and good and can carry in a lot of different situations. You'd be surprised. Like there's tabs on greetings, personal needs, feelings, questions. The my phrases one here, you can put in all your own phrases as well. And again, every button can be edited and changed. So there are your tools for engagement. And then we've got our tools for growth. So we've talked about, you know, I mentioned it a few times that we can meet the user where they're at. And so we don't have to start on a specific grid size. And there's two different ways of doing it. One is location. So we can start with a big grid size and hide buttons and fill it in, or we can start with the size and we can start small and grow large. So this is where we meet the user where they're at. So I'm going to show you that in practical terms, what that looks like. So one is that, I think I'm on a full size grid here. So let me see. Grid size. So, okay, I'm just going to bring it down to 5 by 5. So I've got 25 words on the page here, okay? And we could say, okay, I'm working with somebody that I think, yes, they have the potential to get to 25 words. I think they'll do well with 25 quick fires. They can handle that. But this core words page, we're not quite there yet. And they seem to be pressing lots and lots of buttons, and they're not making kind of choices that make that, you know, they're getting distracted by there's too many words on the page. But I think they can get there soon. So what we might do is we might help them initially. What I might do is I might reduce the amount of buttons on this page, and I might just focus on a couple of core words. So I might just go, I want to, and I'm just going to take everything else off the page, and it looks like this. So we're saying, okay, I'm just focusing on
I want more. I like.
When I go into word list, and again, I might initially think that we want to keep it to things that are more motivating for the user. So I'm just going to keep food and drink and toys on the page, and everything else goes. And I like
toy cars. I like toy cars.
Again, I can hide this down, and we can say, okay, we're doing really well now. They're starting to navigate. They know these core words. We've worked on them a lot. So now I'm just going to introduce more. I haven't deleted anything. When I press the edit button, I'm going to bring back is, and I'm going to bring stop and go. So I'm just building it up in a more kind of structured manner. So that's a location-based kind of growth. Whereas the other option is, I'll bring everything back, is we start small. So if I press edit, I go to page set, and bring this up. I go to grid size. You can see I'm on 5 by 5. You can start with just one word on a page if you want. So want, and I start to build up. Want and not, 2 by 2. Want, not, like, and more. I'll skip out a bit to 4 by 4. As you can see, want, not, like, and more are still together, but all the vocabulary has grown around it. So you can just keep building the grid size up as you go, and it just adds more words. And the good thing about this is all your edits will go with you. So if you've created topics or you've changed buttons and you've put in pictures or whatever it may be, they'll all go with you. So it's not like starting afresh every time you change the grid size. So it's very easy to scale up and scale down again. So so there are your two ways of they're your tools for growth, really. So let's move on a little bit. Best practices for customizing the Snap Core first. So I spoke about the core page. Recommend that we leave it intact and we don't really do a huge amount of changes. But the word list, you've got the personal word list, which is sorry, show you this, is here. Nope, sorry, that's one too many. This is empty, so feel free to fill in words here. So it's just this is the core page. So I've got my personal words here, so I can fill in all words that I want here. I can go into family names, and I can put them in here. I can put in, John and whatever, Mary, and so on. And then, friends, favorite films and TV. So you can make all your personal stuff here. So edit away in here is what we kind of say. And the word lists. Again, you can word list the, you can edit these, customize away. Again, if you go into food and drink and it doesn't have your favorite foods, of course you're going to put in those words. So, but remember, word lists are single words. So it's like a dictionary of words that are categorized. So modify these single words for food, places, people, etc. Create custom word lists. You want to create your own folder of words that are specific to that user. By all means, you can add them in. And then, as we talked about before, when you combine those with the core words, you're creating complex messages. Quick fires, again, edit away. Some of these phrases, I went through some of them there, and it says, like come here and hey, and some of them are a little bit Americanized and stuff, and they're not relevant. So change them to quick fires that you might have. I'm based in Cork. We have our own language down here at times, and you may want to add messages that are specific to where you live. Or like I often see it. It comes like the default is mom. Some people say ma'am, some people say mammy, some people say mummy. Change it to suit, of course. So again, you might keep them in the category because categorization helps, and there's a lot of research into that. So you might keep your personal needs, like I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, in the personal needs folder. Your feelings in the feelings folder, obviously in questions. So it is always nice to have a bit of organization and structure in the system. It does help the user to identify those messages in the context that they're supposed to be used. The keyboards. Customizing a keyboard requires that advanced and complex programming. I don't know if it's that advanced, but so look, I'll give an example. So if I go to keyboard, I'm set on ABC here. What you do is you go to page set, and here it says your home page is core word. So as I said earlier, if you want to change that to quick fires, you can do, or whatever it may be. Keyboard is the main matching grid. So what you do is you click here. There's loads and loads of keywords, so I wouldn't even scroll looking for them. But the most common one we use here is QWERTY. So keyboard main QWERTY, and just select it and press done. It won't change in front of you, so you have to go out and come back in. So just change the page, and it'll change. So I've got QWERTY, but I know the slide says it's complex. But edit, pick a number, pick a style, button background. I might want to change this color to green. And I know some people use color-based keyboards to help with literacy. So it's not like I think that slide discourages editing. Do what suits. You know, if it helps your user that, you know, the vowels are green and whatever, you know, you want to change the colors, because there are keyboards, I know there are physical keyboards that people use, like assistive tech keyboards that people use to help with literacy. So by all means, if you want to match it, you can do that. If you want to make certain letters a little bit bigger, just grab a corner and bring it up and so on and so forth. So, you know, you can do that as well. So it's not, I wouldn't call it complex programming, but you don't need to do it either. So so back here, that's your keyboards. Your topics, again, look, you're going to make these very relevant to the user. As I said earlier, some are adult-based, some are more child-friendly. You know, you can try and stay consistent with the organization structure. We talked about the blue are questions, the negatives are red, and so on. And then you do have those blank topics as well, where you can create your own topics. If you've got, you know, school lessons, or you've got activities at home, or, you know, things that the person likes doing, you'll create your own topics to suit that person. Behavior supports, again, we've spoken about these. We'll modify these. We can change them to suit the user. Again, by default, you'll find them in every topic. So if I go into topics and I go to classroom and I go to the supports here, and the first and then is go to seat and open book, whereas the user might have, you know, hang up a coat and sit at table. You know, it might be something completely different, or you might need 2 or 3 first and thens related to the classroom. You can do that also, and you can change these and edit them really easily. Follow directions, etc. You know, or these are the same. You can change this to suit the user. You know, that these mightn't be the schedule that the person uses for the classroom. They might have, as I said, they might have 5 or 6 different schedules that they use. So create them all and add them in here. You've got scripts where it's more of a linear.
What are we doing today? Will you help me, please? Okay, I'm ready.
So these are good. Look, maybe for your early users, they can be a little bit kind of harder to use, because you kind of have to have that conversation kind of pre-made in your head, shall we say. But good instances where I've seen these used, again, in a school, might be where sometimes you might be wanting the AAC user to start to use their device with people maybe outside of their immediate support group, because that's, you know, obviously that's where they tend to use initially, whether it's with the teacher or their parent or the therapist. Whereas you might give them tasks like going down to the school secretary and asking, can I have a stapler? So you might make a very simple, can I have a stapler, please? Thank you very much. I'm going back to class, or something like that. Just a really quick script where the user can say their message and they're starting to use their AAC device outside of that immediate support group. We can kind of encourage that engagement. So I've seen people set up scripts for bus drivers or taxi drivers or stuff like that, or obviously with sometimes with maybe older users, they may go to the shop to buy something, so they might have a script set up in that instance. So they're your behavior supports, and again, go mad on editing and supporting them. So I hope that's giving you a very kind of brief look at the core first page set. There's a lot more in terms of how we can change languages and how we can bring in board maker integration and Google and things like that. But today I just wanted to give you an overview and a background into the core first page. There is lots of resources available that I would recommend definitely checking out if you wanted to know more about it. There's training cards and materials for TD Snap on our website. So Ishita, who's on the webinar, might put up links for that in the Q&A. There's the Pathways app, which I can't recommend highly enough. And then which is a free app that you can download on your iPad or your computer, that gives you all the resources to support a user. So it's not designed for the user, it's designed for the therapist, the teacher, the parent, on how to use TD Snap, how to make those edits, how to make those changes, how to customize it. But it's also got lots and lots of lesson plans, and we also have some online videos on our website and on our YouTube channel. So it's worth kind of subscribing to us, and we may you'll find some kind of useful resources there. So I'll take any questions that you have going on. I'm conscious I've gone a little bit over, so if you have any questions or any feedback, any experiences you may have already had with TD Snap, be good to share them or let us know, positive or negative. It's always good to get feedback. If you are a therapist or a teacher working with people that require TD Snap, you are entitled to what's called a professional license of TD Snap, which means that you can download it and use the full version of TD Snap with the people you're working with. So you can put it on your iPad or whatever it may be to do your assessments, or you're working with people. You can download a free version of it. So again, we will send on all the details for that after. Okay, is there any questions? I'm going to bring up Pathways app while we're waiting. Okay, so if you have a few minutes, if not, I'm not going to, I'll cover questions and stuff like that, but this isn't actually part of it. I know we didn't say we cover it in the webinar, but I always think it's handy to know about. So this is a free app called Pathways. You can set up all your profiles here. It's free to download, and anyone can download as many copies as you want. I'm just going to go into this account. When you go in, you've got kind of 3 steps that teaches you how to set up the software, etc., like what we've gone through today. Customizing the core first, so how do I edit, how do I grow language, simplify it, etc. But the really useful thing in here is this button on the left called Build Skills. And in here, you'll see it's kind of broken into 8 different categories. So you've got core first learning, expanding vocabulary, combining words, etc., encouraging positive behavior. But if we're focusing on a core first strategy, I go to core first learning. You can watch the videos. They're all very short, but I'm not going to do it now. But in here, you've got 12 core words. If you have Boardmaker, you've got 36. There's more lessons for it. So that's for another webinar. So if we pick the word want, I go in here and I've got lessons just about how I introduce that word want to the user. So it's showing you the location of the vocabulary. It's telling you how to model. It's giving you 5 days of lessons. So a quick little lesson guide. So what we're going to do on day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A letter which you might send to the parents or the teacher if you're a therapist, or teacher to the parent or teacher to the therapist, whatever it may be. You can send that letter, and then on day 1, what are we going to do? We're going to read a book when I want, and we're going to model the targeted word. So here, introduce the word want, do a picture walk with the book, point out what you notice about the book, prepare the student to take the book home and share it with the family, and so on. So day 2, day 3, so you can see all the different days. Again, I'm going through this really quickly, but it gives you the book as well. So it gives you that core first book, when I want. So when I'm hungry, I want to eat. So we might model on the device, we might be pressing the word want, we might be talking about what the boy wants in the picture. When I'm hungry, I want to eat. Again, we might be looking at things, the picture walk, we might be looking at things in the fridge. What can we notice? Can we find them on our device? And so on and so forth. When I'm cold, I want some heat. So you've got 5 days of lessons for each one of those words. So it's the same. I'm going to go and I've got all the same kind of the 5 days worth of lessons. If I go back out, combining words. So might have somebody who's a sentence starter, includes transition from a PEC system, creative 2-word sentences, 3-word, 4 words, and complex sentences. So the user you're working with might be at a 2-word sentence level or a 3-word, and they'll, or they might be a sentence starter. So we'll say here, okay, what do we have to do? What are our lessons? What's our objective? What's our preparation? So here are the core words I want to use. Here's the word list, etc. Quick lesson guide. Day 1, we're going to use example to introduce a sentence starter and fillers. We're going to model, and we're going to carry over, send a letter and book to other important communication partners so that it goes home, etc. So there are a couple of hundred, I think we're up to nearly 300 lessons within the system. So what a lot of people do, to be honest, is they'll download the app, they'll find the lessons that suit, they'll print out those lessons. So if I go into this one, I can print it out up here. They put the lessons in a folder goes in the bag, school or wherever it may be, with the device, whether they're going to school or their day center or home, wherever it may be, but it's with the device, and the person that's working with them can open up and say, oh, okay, we're working on 3-word sentences at the moment, these are the lessons I have to follow, I've got the device here. So nobody's getting bogged down in programming, nobody's getting bogged down, oh, what will I do with this device, I'm not familiar with it, I don't know how to work the software. Just follow the lessons, and you're going to start making progress with the user. So it's a really, really nice tool to have, and it's free. So it's a good system to go with TD Snap. That's all. I've waffled on for 10 minutes over what I was supposed to, which is a habit of mine, but I'm getting better. This is the core first page. We will be doing, I'd say, pretty quickly, we'll start to do webinars on the motor planning. Really excited by that. So make sure you join us for that. We have some, I don't know, do we have anything upcoming about the aphasia page set or the text-based page set? The sheet might tell us, but do keep an eye on our website and our social media for any more webinars that are coming up.